Thanks to Insta360 for sponsoring today's video. What's going on, guys? It's UrAvgConsumer, and I know a lot of us in the tech space are familiar with the company Insta360. They make those 360 cameras that give you this really cool, I guess not optical illusion, but these really cool angles. And you get all kinds of interesting videos on the internet now with people dropping their 360 camera, putting in their mouth so they look like Titans on Attack on Titan. Either way, you've seen those, right, Jay? Well, they make a lot of cool and interesting cameras, and they've brought their technology down to the webcam space. They've just dropped the new Insta360 Link, and this is a 4K camera, which is supposed to have really good quality. And of course, it's powered by AI and has a ton of features. So no longer are the days of using your laptop's crummy webcam. You can throw something like this on and get a lot of cool features and quality. But first, let's do a quick unboxing of these two guys and see what you get inside. All right, so what we've got our hands on today are the Insta360 Link and the mini 2-in-1 tripod. Now, once you pop open the box for the Insta360 Link, you're greeted with a card that spells out all of the features and the cool things that this camera is gonna be able to do. But once you get past that, you can find the accessory box at the bottom. And inside of here, you got a few things. Of course, you've got the paperwork, standard stuff, as well as a really long USB-C cable and a C to A adapter if your computer doesn't have a USB-C port, and this really silky microfiber cloth so you can clean the lens if you need to. You also have 4 whiteboard recognition markers, but we'll talk about that a little bit more later. And of course, can't forget some stickers. And the last thing inside the box is, of course, the camera itself. Now, this actually surprised me because this thing is on a 3-axis gimbal, not something you typically see on a webcam. It's got this really tiny footprint, and it sits on a base that can be attached to any monitor or screen that you might have. And up front, you do have the Insta360 logo, but on the sides of that, you'll notice that it has 2 little holes, and those are actually the dual noise canceling mics, which we're gonna try in a little bit. And under it, you have a 1/4-inch thread, so if you wanna put this thing on a tripod like the one we got here, you'll be able to do that. And in the back of the camera, you've got a USB-C port, of course, so you can connect it to your computer. Now, we do have this mini 2-in-1 tripod, so if you don't wanna have this thing mounted on your screen or your monitor, you can always put it here and angle it however you want. So that's pretty much everything you'll get inside of the box. But now let's check out the quality and try out those AI features. All right, guys, so we've actually got our Link set up right over here. So it's connected to our Mac, and you might notice that the lens right now is actually pointing downward because we haven't been using it for a little bit. That's actually a built-in feature. So what it does is after 10 seconds of inactivity, it'll automatically turn itself down physically, so you don't have to use like a special shutter slide or anything like that. It'll just physically look down to make sure you don't have any privacy concerns. So now let's actually jump into the software. I'll show you guys the quality here. So we go into the Insta360 Link controller, and first off, you guys, what I wanna say here is this thing looks absolutely incredible. It gets me exposed well enough where I'm not too dark, I'm not too bright. We've got some very different skin tones over here, and it's handling that really, really well. Listen, guys, when you're black, exposure works a little bit differently than it does for most people, and I look clear as day. Now, I'm perfectly exposed, but if I stand up and you guys see the super bright studio lights, you might notice that the highlights are a little bit blown, well, not a little bit, those highlights are blown out altogether. In 4K, you don't have access to HDR. I personally don't mind because I like having myself exposed as well as possible. But if you go down to 1080p, you get access to HDR. Now, the same way those studio lights were overexposed, now you can see them clear as day. If we go close to the windows, if I angle myself over here, you can see the windows with no problem. See blue skies, and you see even with these studio lights, those are really bright lights, you guys. But if I were to turn off HDR and go back into 4K, you'll notice it's a pretty big difference. Now, all this great image quality is possible thanks to the 1/2-inch sensor inside of here. So that is quite a bit bigger than what you would get in a normal webcam, especially something on your laptop. But one thing that's also cool is that it's got this feature called True Focus, so it's always keeping the subject in focus, and it does it really quickly. So if I were to just be presenting something, I'm showing you guys my awesome Gundam, whatever, it keeps this thing in focus, and as soon as I move it away, it's back to me very quickly. Throw it up there again, in focus, me. Gundam, me. Gundam, me. All right, stop. Now, you guys can see that it is clearly tracking me wherever I go. So no matter which direction I move to, it's gonna follow me. And you can always change the tracking speed. Right now, I've got it at slow. If you want fast, you can always have that. Like if you really needed to stay on you at all times, you're doing really quick movements, you know, it feels like you got a cameraman just keeping track of you, you can go ahead and go for that. I don't like the idea of my head just being the only thing in the shot. It's cool if you just, you know, you don't really want to show your background too much, but that's a little too close to my face. Not my thing. So I can go half body. This for me feels a lot more comfortable. And lastly, in terms of zoom, you can do whole body. And if I were to go really far back, you can of course start seeing like sneakers and everything. You got the entire body. But what's nice is that, let's say something's not to your liking, you can actually jump into the link controller software and you can change up the settings. So if you want to drop down the brightness, you can. If you're like, you know your thing about cameras and you want to mess around with it, you want to add some contrast maybe. Oh yeah, I like a little bit of contrast, that's nice. You got auto white balance. So all the controls that you would want access to with your camera, you've got them over here. So we've been using the link controller software to control a lot of these different things, but if you're in the middle of a meeting or you're doing something and you don't want to have to open up the program and hunt down the setting, you do have access to some gestures. If you don't want auto tracking on, maybe you don't need to be followed as you move around in your frame, you can always turn the feature off. All you have to do is hold up your palm. So with holding up, well, right now we've got it on. I can just hold my palm up like this. You'll see that blue light indicator on the actual camera itself turn on and off. Whenever it goes blue, that means it's turning on. I left my hand up for a really long time. So right now it should be off. So that's one that's pretty cool. You also have the ability to zoom. You can just go like this. You can see that it registered. And you can zoom in like that. So you have access to that. It's a pretty subtle zoom, it's nothing crazy, but you can do that if you want to. And you also have access to a whiteboard. So you can go like this, and then it is going to find the whiteboard that you have nearby. Let's talk about that. So using these little guys right here, these are the recognition markers. So let's actually, we don't have a whiteboard over here, you guys, sorry. So we'll try and make it work. So we've got our makeshift whiteboard over here. That is not level at all. But we're gonna see if it works. So we've got our link right here on our MacBook. So right now, we've got it tracking. So what I'll do is, I'll put my fingers up like this, do the gesture for whiteboard mode. So it went out, and now it's detecting the whiteboard. Oh, that's pretty cool. Dang, that's nice. So if I were presenting, I could just go ahead and say, E equals MC squared. Oh, you know this, Jay. And it does a really, really good job at keeping that thing centered. So you can see it's in whiteboard mode because it has this yellow LED indicator around the entire camera. So even if you're moving around, you're getting in front of it, you're not worried about the tracking so much because it's hard focused on the whiteboard. Can't you see I'm presenting, train? Get out of here. Now, in the same vein of being able to do presentations and that kind of thing, you can also use this thing called desk view mode. So with this mode, you can show whatever's on your desk. And we've heard of this kind of feature with the new iOS update coming out. But with this, you can just do it right from your webcam. So all you have to do, let's say you want to clear out your desk. So let's say you just want to show this random book, right? You want this page. All you do is in the link controller software, you hit desk view mode at the bottom, and you'll see it'll automatically jump down. It actually flips the image so people can read along with you. And if yours doesn't come out perfectly straight or whatever, you can always adjust it in the software, and you still have access to like your controls so you can zoom in, zoom out. Oh wow, you can really zoom in and it stays pretty clean. Now remember, we also have the ability to attach this thing to a tripod, like this mini tripod that we have right here. And something like this gives you the flexibility to kind of place this wherever you'd like. So if you don't want it to be on the top of your screen, you can kind of have it right here and it'll still go ahead and, let's make sure it's got the tracking on. So it'll still go ahead and track you and you can move around as you'd please, just so you can have the flexibility of being able to move your screen however you'd like without messing with your actual camera. And last but not least, it also has this cool portrait mode where if you want to do portrait streaming, like you do on Instagram, OBS, even TikTok they say you can use with it, it'll go into its portrait mode and that way you can do live streaming right from the camera in the 9:16 aspect ratio. Now we know this thing has great image quality and really good at tracking, but now let's hear what that audio sounds like. So you can check the background noise with the mics from the Insta360. There you go. And this is the background noise from the built-in microphone on my laptop. But there you guys have it. This is the Insta360 Link. I can very confidently say it's one of the best web cameras I've seen to date. I think it's got all of our seals of approval over here. It's really good quality stuff here. So if you're on the market for a new webcam, maybe you want to spice up your work from home setup, this is absolutely a really good option and honestly has all the features you'd want from your webcam as well as the quality. But that about wraps it up for this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'll of course have links to this down below in the description. If you enjoyed it, be the cool guy or girl that gives this video a thumbs up. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Till then, it's your average consumer. Peace. All right, in my office it goes. It's not yours, Jay.